It looked like a good thing, but wait till I tell you. We were down in the science wing, Bill Driscoll and myself, when this kidnapping idea, animal napping idea struck us.
I just had a moment of temporary mental apparition.
Is that a plan I smell cooking up?
How much we got?
I got 3.
I got 5.
Yeah.
Is this a $2 bill? Get this Monopoly money out of her.
Bill and me had a joint capital of $6, and we needed just $20 more to pull off another fake school ID scam. We talked it over on the steps of the fire escape.
The love of one's class pet
Says we.
is strong in science teachers.
Therefore, and for other reasons, an animal napping project ought to be better in a science room than, say, at your local pet store. We knew the school couldn't get after us with anything stronger than hall monitors. And maybe a lackadaisical assistant principal.
There's a fire in the cafeteria. We need a principal right away. Help, please, please, help.
So it looked good. We selected for our victim the only class pet of an oxymoronically wealthy teacher named Ebenezer Dorset. The man was a lover of rabbits and made most of his money breeding and selling high-end purebred rabbits on eBay. The victim was a rabbit of 10 months with hair the color of bitter chocolate, freckled about the neck with white spots. Bill and I figured that Mr. Dorset would melt down for a ransom of $20 to a penny. But wait till I tell you. Three floors from his classroom was a little storage closet. It was there that we donned our motley disguises, temporarily procured from the custodians. And we also stashed all the provisions necessary for a long-term abduction project. 3 floors below, the rabbit was in its cage, engaging in its behaviors akin to its kind.
This is an utter travesty. I'm gonna get some more coffee now, Red Kerchief. You be a good boy.
You want a bag of carrots and a nice ride? That'll cost a man an extra $5.
The bunny put up a fight like a welterweight cinnamon bear, but at last,
Kobe!
we got him down in the bottom of the trash cart and pushed off.
Check the circuit?
Gee, I don't know, Bill. Let's take a look. We took him up to the closet, and after the first period bell, I returned back to where we stole the cart and walked back to the closet. Bill was pasting bandages over the scratches and bruises on his features. Yes, sir, that bunny seemed to be having the time of its life. The fun of hiding out in the closet had made it forget that it was a captive itself.
You want to go back to Mr. Dorset's class? Back to your cage? Not right away? We'll sit in the closet for a little bit.
We decided to take a break around second period. We put down some blankets and put Red Kerchief between us. We weren't afraid he'd run away. He kept us awake for an hour, hopping and jumping and leaping and bounding. But at last, I fell into a troubled sleep and dreamed that I was a carrot being eaten by a monster rabbit. I was awakened by a series of awful screams from Bill. I jumped up to see what the matter was. Red Kerchief was sitting on Bill's chest, staring death into his eyes.
Help me, Sam, get this rabbit off of me.
I kicked the rabbit away from Bill.
It ain't gonna hurt you no more. See?
But from that moment, Bill's spirit was broken. He laid back down, but he never closed an eye again in sleep as long as the rabbit was with us. I dozed off for a while, but along with the fourth period bell, I heard the rumblings of the rabbit. I wasn't nervous or afraid, but I sat up and had a mid-morning snack anyway.
Wakey! What you getting up so soon for, Sam?
Oh, me? I got a little pain in my shoulder. I thought, sitting up would help a little bit.
Why? You was afraid it was gonna bite you like it done me. Ain't it awful, Sam? Do you think anybody would pay money to get that monster back?
A rowdy rabbit like this? Just the kind the owners will love. Now you and Red Kerchief, amuse yourselves,
while I go down to the first floor and take a look around. I went down to the landing of the stairs and ran my eye over the continuous vicinity. I expected to see all of the science students armed with beakers and graduated cylinders beating the hallway for the dastardly kidnappers.
Please have you seen Red Kerchief? We miss him terribly.
Hey, Mr. Dorset, we'll find him. It's okay. Don't cry.
I expected to see Mr. Dorset weeping for the return of his poor pet rabbit. But what I saw was a peaceful landscape.
Perhaps it has not been discovered that the wolves have stolen the tender lamb from the fold. Heaven help the wolves.
When I got back to the closet, Bill was backed up against the side of it. He was breathing hard.
What's going on in there?
It's horrible, Sam. It bit me on my arm again, and then it just stuck me with its feet. It's all about his ears. Got any rat poison? We really got it. You can hear it right now. We really need it.
Fix you. No one's ever struck Red Kerchief without paying for it. You better beware.
Come on, let's get inside before somebody sees us.
Not much later, I heard another commotion from where Red Kerchief and Bill were. I couldn't believe my eyes. I swear Red Kerchief was giving old Bill a cranial noogie.
Say uncle! Say uncle! Say uncle!
Uncle.
Bill was on the brink of a complete and total mental breakdown.
Uncle. So if your behavior doesn't improve, I'm going to take you home right now. So are you going to be good or not?
Uncle!
Okay then. I've been with you in lunch detentions, after school detentions, and in school suspensions. But this rabbit is just driving me crazy. I never lost my nerve until we animal napped that four-legged skyrocketed beast. He's really got me going. You won't leave me long with him, will you, Sam? I'll be back sometime this period. You must keep the rabbit entertained until I return. And now, I write the letter to old Dorset. And now we begin.
The letter said,
Ebenezer Dorset, you have your rabbit hidden in a place far from the science room. It is useless for you or the most prestigious call monitors you have to ever find him. The only terms where you can have him returned to you are these. We demand $20 in unmarked single bills for this return. If you agree to these terms, send payment via a solitary student helper to locker 3120 within the hour. The messenger will place the answer in this locker and return immediately to the science wing. If you attempt any treachery or fail to comply with our demand as stated, you will never see your rabbit again. If you pay the money as demanded, the rabbit will be returned to you safe and well right before dismissal. These terms are final, and if you do not agree to them, no further communication will be attempted. How do you spell desperate again? 2 desperate students. Gotcha now.
Let's play a game.
What game?
It's called Hawk and Hare. I'll be the hawk.
What do I do?
Run.
I waited in disguise not a full 10 minutes before a student arrived at the precise locker. She deposited the envelope and returned the same way she came. I took the envelope back to the closet and read the note to Bill.
Wake up, we got a response letter. Check this out.
This is what it said.
Dear desperate students, I received your letter about the ransom you asked in return for my rabbit. I think that you're a little high in your demands, and I hereby make you a counterproposal, which I believe you accept. You bring Red Kerchief home and pay me $5, and I agree to take him off your hands. You had better come after school, for my students believe he has escaped, and I couldn't be responsible for what they would do to anybody they saw bringing him back. Very respectfully, Mr. Ebenezer Dorset. Great sponges of Bikini Bottom! Of all the impudent...
But I glanced at Bill and hesitated. He had the most pleading look in his eyes I ever saw in the face of another human.
Thiam, what's $5 after all? You already got the money. One more hour with that rabbit would put me in the loony bin. Besides, Mr. Dorset's gonna give us this sweet deal. You ain't gonna let this deal go, Are ya? To tell you the truth, Bill, this little lamb has got on somewhat of my nerves too. Alright, we'll take him home, pay the ransom, and make our clean getaway.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam.
We took it home at the dismissal bell. Bill counted $5 into Dorset's hand. After the ransom was paid in full, Mr. Dorset reached out his arms and I placed the red kerchief into them.
How long can you hold him?
I'm not as strong as I used to be, but I think I can promise you 10 minutes.
Enough. In 10 minutes, I shall cross Central, West, and Southwest middle schools and be legging into the next school district.
Hey, Sam. Sam, over here. Let's have some fun. I have the perfect game. I have the perfect game.
Okay, let's go home now, you little monster.
You got to lose, yeah. You can't win all the time. You got to lose, yeah, yeah. You can't win all the time. There's trouble up the road, further on down the line. Now when God made a woman, He made her from a man. He gave her 5 senses, and this a man can't understand. You got to lose. You can't win all the time. There's trouble up the road, further on down the line. Where there's smoke, there's always a fire. You're gonna meet your match, baby, someday bye-bye. You got to lose, yeah, yeah. You can't win all the time. There's trouble up the road, further on down the line. We got trouble. Just keep on pushing, baby. Everything's your way. Things are gonna change, and I think you got to pay. You got to lose, yeah, yeah. You can't win all the time. There's trouble up the road, further on down the line. There's trouble up the road, further on down the line. I said there's trouble up the road, further on down the line.
I'm safe now. I'll never see that rabbit again.